Board meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Hello to everyone.
Hello.
Tom is on a trip somewhere, I believe, so we shall proceed without him. Okay, our citizens open forum. Becky?
We have somebody here. Yay, Becky, welcome back.
Good evening.
Hey, Becky.
Good evening, Leisure Services Advisory Board or Committee or whatever we're calling it. What's on your shirt?
Board. We're officially board members.
Board members and Ken, acting chair.
Welcome alumni.
I wanted to just bring up 3 items tonight. And I don't have the exact date, but I believe at some point in 2016, I had approached this board with regards to wayfinding for the Oldsmar Trail. And I can't recall if it went in front of council, but I don't know if anything's being done, if this is being looked at, if something's in the works. So if there's a follow-up, and I am certainly available at any time for board members or city staff to go out and explain this PDF that I did, and I can provide this to Ann after the meeting. The second thing, and I forget when I put this to the board, and maybe it's already happened, is at Canal Park, we host the Gator Nationals BMX, and I believe we have over 20 countries that attend. Do we have multilingual or bilingual signage to welcome these participants? I think I had broached that before, as far as maybe there's a way we can just do some simple welcome signs, maybe on the bathrooms or things like that. And then the third item is we just recently, I'm saying the Florida Bicycle Association, recently held its annual membership meeting. And I've got just the highlights of some of the slides from our new strategic business plan, our legislative platform, and our programs. And I didn't make enough copies for everybody. I can leave a copy with Ann, or I can email you the PDF, and that can be shared with you. Just as a little bit of background, you've got a messenger in front of you. That's something we publish quarterly. There's a membership brochure. We're education advocacy, so if there's any questions about Florida bicycle laws or pedestrian laws, we publish a book for that. We do cycling techniques. I actually do presentations to explain complete streets policy from the Department of Transportation. So I work with the Department of Transportation. I work with the Florida Greenways and Trails Foundation. I'm the chair of the Greenways and Trails Council. And I can tell you that the wayfinding should be something on our agenda because moving forward with the northern loop, the Duke Energy Loop, the eastern side of the Pinellas Trail Loop. And they're going to bring that from East Lake, John Chestnut Park, all the way to Enterprise where that overpass is. And they'll bring it on the other side, on the western side of that canal on Curlew. Alicia, about how Oldsmar connects in. It's great to connect in, but if people come over and can't figure out our trail system, they're not going to come back.
Right.
And we are at a hub for the coast-to-coast connector trail, the Tampa trail systems. You know, Tampa, Hillsborough County moves forward with the Upper Tampa Bay, and it connects to the Suncoast Parkway. That is part of the coast-to-coast connector. Oldsmar can sit right at the hub and offer people staying in hotels to visit both sides of this area. So this is important that people be able to figure out our trail system. And I say that as somebody that sits on the Greenways and Trails Council. I can provide you with the Sun Trail update with regards to projects and financing, but I'm also the vice chair of the Forward Pinellas Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And this is on the books. It's moving forward. You've probably seen it in the news. So just those types of things. I'm a good resource. I live right down the street. Oh, I'm sorry. Becky Afonso, 174B State Street East, Oldsmar, 34677.
Excuse me, Becky, I didn't get, did you have any extras?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I put one back there.
Okay, when you get a chance, I would
Yeah.
like
Yep,
one too. Thank you.
Alexis, do you have any comments about
I
that?
do. So one of our new park supervisors, we had a meeting with him regarding wayfinding signs, trail signage, and I kind of put that project under him. But I would like to backtrack a little bit, have you, me, Alexis, and Nate sit together to really talk about that, because I do believe it's important. There's a number of signs around that are trail signs and other park signs that need to be upgraded. It's not just one fell swoop. It's going to be a process. But that would definitely be something that we want to take a look at. So,
Absolutely.
so let's set something up and get together.
Yeah, let's look at September.
Maybe March of next year. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, all right. Are you available next November?
So yeah, let's do that.
That's good news. I'm glad to hear it.
Thank you, Becky.
And you have until February.
Hopefully.
Any other questions or?
Anybody else? Thank you, Becky. Thanks
All right,
for
thank
following
you.
up on that.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
Always, from 2016. She's still on it. Thanks, Becky. Okay, next item is our approval of the minutes dated May 13th. I trust everyone's had a chance to look through them.
Yes.
Any corrections, additions, comments?
Make a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chip, our monthly report.
All right.
Monthlies.
Monthly reports, plural. So
There you go.
You guys should be receiving those. Obviously,
Appreciate
the
it.
July one is not out yet. Usually, sometime during the following month, we get the previous month out. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of the programs in the monthly report that's taken place since the last time we've met. Summer camp tomorrow is the last day of summer camp. Kids go back to school on Wednesday. Summer camp at Cypress was sold out. With 75 children, 10 weeks of camp, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. We also hosted 2 adventure camps and 2 fishing camps, which were pretty full as well. So it was a very successful summer from that standpoint. We had our golf tournament in May. We had 139 players. We were sold out. We netted about $8,100 for the tournament, which was good. Very, very similar to last year. Course was nice. We did it over at West Chase, so it was very nice over there. We had our Memorial Day ceremony on May 29th. Just last week, we had our Purple Heart ceremony and monument dedication on August the 7th. It was a great event. Some of you were, I know Suda was out there taking pictures. It was I think about 130, 140 is what we estimated there.
For Wednesday, you had a good turnout.
Around there. I tried to do a head count while everybody was sitting there. But it was a nice turnout. We had Suda's dance recital back in May. We had 115 in attendance, which was great. We had the fishing tournaments in June. We had 41 adults, 51 kids.
Wow.
This past summer, we struggled with it, not because of the program, but because of weather. We hosted our first, at least here in Oldsmar, we hosted a high school girls flag football league for some of the local girls who are athletes. We did it on Wednesday nights. We battled the rain, so we've got about 4 out of 7 games in. And then, of course, they go back to school, so we had to cut the season short. But that was very successful. We'll do that again next year. We'll start earlier in the year. This one kind of surfaced for us late because when I was in Largo, we ran that league in Largo, and then it fell through, and then they're scrambling to find a place to play. So we could play here, so we did what we could to get them in, and I think they enjoyed it for the time that they were out there. We had a day of volunteering with Nielsen Media. We had 20 volunteers. They painted 18 fire hydrants, cleaned and organized 2 sheds, cleaned out 6 pop-up tents, and cleaned 300 white event chairs. Recently, we had a rain garden dedication at the Environmental Education Center. As you can see out at the Oldsmar Sports Complex, construction has begun on the hockey rink. You've probably noticed that the canopy is up.
I noticed that.
Now it's really starting to come on. You can see what it is. We installed Fibar which is the mulch product at Ari Olds Park, Bicentennial Park, and the EEC playgrounds. And the park staff completed a biannual playground safety inspection of all of our playground equipment in July. We have a meeting, is it this week or next week? Next week to go over the findings and sort through that stuff.
Chip,
Yes.
can I just ask a question, or do I have to wait? Oh, I was just wondering when you do all these things, like, I remember when you had like painting at the track, the BMX, that we had volunteers and we did that. Are you just using now Nielsen and not,
No, Karen Beal heads up the volunteer program for us, so.
Oh, so
Nielsen
Karen-
does it. Yeah, Karen does it. Nielsen does a day, so we grab them for that day, and
Okay.
then we have other volunteer groups that come out and
Oh.
do things with us. So
okay, because we're not a group, but I mean, so I should talk with her?
Yeah, so we should probably get you on the invite list as well. Let's see. So that's it for the monthly report highlights. Obviously, there's more on the reports that you guys received. Yes.
Couple quick questions. Summer camp was a huge success. Zach and I were honored to donate our time to go in for an hour one day and teach hip hop. 30 kids we taught hip hop to.
Good.
So we were very blessed and very honored, and looking forward to continue that. I know that's a great networking opportunity and a great chance to give the kids a chance to see what else we do there at the rec center. On the golf tournament, which was fantastic, is it going to be continuing? Have
Yes.
we got a date and looking forward and?
Probably move it up a week.
Okay, probably keep it at West Chase because that worked well, or?
Worked well. I think people like to bounce around, so we'll
Golfers
see.
do.
Yeah.
Being a golfer
And a
do
lot of
like
it
to.
depends on how they price us.
Okay,
'Cause
sure.
We weigh out the quality of the course and what kind of food service we're going to get against how much they're going to charge us, so we can maximize,
Yeah.
our return.
Yes. Okay, great, thank you. That was all I had.
Okay, will we move on to project updates?
Yes.
Okay. Just a handful of project updates, not too many. We finished the office counter at Cypress Forest Recreation Center. So it's brought that counter down. Instead of being a high counter, the staff can see from a seated level, and it also is more accessible for those in wheelchairs.
It also lets them see the dancers as they're sneaking past the counter and not
Yeah.
registering or signing in, yes.
There you go. The spray park, we are finalizing the commencement documents that we have to send to the state for the final grant funding. So I just received the survey back yesterday in the mail, and I'm waiting to get one more piece of information that I need to send back to the state. So working on that. Let's see, the new Experience magazine is going to print. It's for September, October, and November. You guys are going to love the magazine. We have a new communications and marketing individual who really did a great job on it. He kind of reformatted it a little bit. He's taken photos for the magazine, which now we'll capture as well for ourselves. You're just going to really like it. You'll see a nice upgrade in the product here.
That's the gentleman we saw at the event?
Yes, Mark.
Okay, what's his name?
Mark McGinley.
Mark?
Mark, yes.
What's his last name?
McGinley.
McGinley? Okay.
McGinley.
All right.
With a
And he
G.
took over
Chris
Hannon's
Yes.
position, gotcha.
Let's see, Oldsmar Sports Complex projects. We will be installing netting on the old Field 8 on that north side so that baseballs don't come over into what is now going to be a parking lot. So we're installing a netting system there. The hockey rink, I mentioned, the construction is going on right now. The canopy is up. And we are supposed to receive the evaluation of the BMX facility by August 20th. So that's where we are right now in projects.
Can I ask?
Questions?
Yeah. In the last meeting, we were talking about the dogs in the park again,
That's my question.
and it said that the staff will be making a recommendation to the city council, so.
So that actually came up at the last city council meeting.
Okay.
There was discussion about that, so it's on the radar. I have the information that I presented to you, so it's going to be a quick turnaround for me to get to them, and we should see some movement on that rather quickly.
Okay, so we're not quite ready to start advertising that we're dog friendly, but we're getting in that direction.
We will be soon, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Is that pretty much the way it's gonna go? It has been decided that it's gonna be allowed and,
Well, I have the recommendations because I don't think we want them on the beach. There's certain, I will make a recommendation not to permit them at special events because of the large crowds. So there's certain things in there, and depending on what park it is, not on playgrounds.
With
so
additional signage at your events so people know.
signage, market, in the social media, things like that. So we'll present that to them, and then they can decide how they want to move forward.
Okay.
But it's going to happen, I believe.
All right. Are we good? Okay, I got a couple questions.
Okay.
A reminder on the water tower preservation artwork?
Alexis has a person. We have some work being done over the Municipal Services Center. So a person who's sealing some floors and stuff. So he's going to talk to them about getting the quote to seal it. But I need to get the artist's information.
Carl Cowden, C-A-R-L, believe it or not, I remember it after all these years. C-O-W-D-E-N, they're out of Tampa. And if I've spelled it wrong or anything, you can't get links, let me know, because I've still got their information.
Sounds good.
But that would be great to preserve that art, and if we can incorporate them in some way, we may be able to do a little touch-up and stuff, too. Okay, great. You got the dogs in the parks and BMX. The Echo Room, as I call it. Have we thought of anything to do about the new back room at the rec center? I don't know if any of you have been over there. It looks beautiful. The floor is gorgeous. I haven't had anybody bang their head on a pole yet, so all good. But the Echo is in there when I put 30 kids in there for the hip hop that we did, it's crazy.
It's loud.
Curtains, we know we don't want to close them, but it may help suck in some of that, and some of those soundboards or even some canvas pictures and stuff like that on the wooden walls might also help. But those soundboards probably would be the best option, where they kind of stop that reverberation back and forth.
For this, in the proposed budget that we had for fiscal 20, we had proposed soundboards in the gymnasium to start off with, because that's loud as well. They're very expensive, so we're going to have to, just very...
Look for some canvas art, that might help at least.
Backtrack and look at something like that, or something that, an alternate material that can kind of help to dampen, like you say.
Right.
So...
Okay, all right, great.
We'll continue to research that.
I think that's all I had on project updates. My other stuff's for the end.
Any other questions or comments on project updates? Okay. Upcoming events?
Just a couple. Just a couple. Yeah, this is moving into the fall.
Into the busy
It's
season,
busy
yes.
season. Although they all seem like it's the busy season. But a couple of events that we'll have coming up on October the 12th. We will have our hockey facility grand opening with the Lightning.
Oh, good.
Boards get invite to that as well?
Yes, you will.
Okay, great.
I'll make a note.
Let's see. This Sunday at 2 p.m. at Ari Olds Park is Miss Suda's dance recital. Make sure you guys get out there.
About a 20-minute performance, guys. We'd love to have you come out there. And anybody, if you do come out, please let us know you're there, because I'm hoping to have Chip or someone there do some greetings and some recognitions as well. So come out and support the kids from their summer class. Thank you.
Sunday.
This Sunday, 2 p.m., Ari Olds Park stage. We're making use of that nice stage down there. 18th, yes. Thank you, Chip.
2 p.m.
October 5th is Celebrate Oldsmar. We have our staff have been planning for the event. We'll have, obviously it's a one-day event this year instead of two. We will have fireworks again at 9 o'clock. We are changing it up a little bit.
City table?
You see the table? Yeah.
All right, we're going to have a city table for promotion. I know we didn't as much last time.
Yeah, it's not under me, so I don't know.
Okay. So, yeah, somewhere that anybody that has programs in the city can also set out flyers.
Right.
We would be glad to help man it,
Correct.
et cetera. Sorry, Jen.
And I'll get into that a little bit too. So Celebrate Oldsmar, we have 4 bands lined up for Celebrate Oldsmar. We're going to have music playing throughout the day. So music, I believe, starts at 1 o'clock and it continues until 9. And like I said, we'll have 4 bands.
Stormbringer this year?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. We've got
Be another one.
we've got School of Rock, which is a youth band. I think they're high school. I can't remember what high school it is, but it's a band, a group of musicians. So we have School of Rock. Then his name's Jimmy Griswold. He plays blues. And
sounds
then
familiar.
we jump into a band called Love Addiction. And then we end up the night with a band called Shake Society.
Okay.
And they played,
reason for all new ones?
They're all new.
I know, but was there a reason we needed to keep budgets down, or? No?
Storm,
It's not just Stormbringer, but we have our regulars, and I don't have any problem that we
Right.
don't use our regulars. I just wondered if there was a reason for it.
the bands in the past have been very expensive. And I was able to get 4 bands for basically the same price of one day of bands.
Gotcha. Yes.
As in the past. And it
I
expands
understand.
the music selection that we have. I mean,
Sure.
it livens up the event. So we're also going to have, is it 11 or 12? 11 bounce houses that are going to be on site.
Great.
And it should be $5 for a wristband. Kids can jump till they can't jump any longer. And that'll go throughout the entire length of the day as well.
Okay.
Food trucks, that kind of stuff. So we're trying to keep it kind of festive for the whole family.
Great. And if we need intermission or fill in or anything like that, we've got stuff we could pull if you just needed something for Phil from the dancers.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. What
Did
else
you
is coming
select
up?
the vendors already for that event?
They are not selected yet. I needed to get with Karen on that. Karen is handling the vendors. Karen Beal.
Is that on the City of Oldsmar's?
I'll give you Karen's
C.
number.
Beal at.
cbeal@myoldsmar.com. But I can give you her number. I'll just have her get in touch with you.
Okay.
You guys should all be in contact with Karen. She does a great job with all the volunteers and working for the events and stuff
Well, I
like
want to be a
that.
vendor this year. So.
All right, so
Right.
get you in with Karen right away. Sign you up, girl.
Yes. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but we are going to have some vendors, and it's going to be relatively affordable for you guys, for the vendors like you were mentioning.
Good.
So just so you know. Coming up, starting, so on October 18th, November 1st, and December 13th, we're going to be starting a new music series at Orioles Park. We're going to Friday night music series. And it's just kind of a laid-back kind of show on the water. People come out, families come out, bring a blanket, listen to music, trying to keep it easy, like one food truck or two, nothing major. I don't want it to become a big special event. I just want it to be an opportunity for the families to come out, enjoy the outdoors in the fall when it's a little bit cooler, and utilize the stage down there at Orioles Park.
Can you repeat the dates, please?
Yes, October 18th, November 1st, and December 13th. So that's our fall music series, and then
Smaller than Woodstock.
smaller than Woodstock. and then in the spring we'll do it again in the spring. 3 dates in the spring,
Okay.
and we haven't chosen those dates yet.
Okay. So are you bringing bands in for
that's
that
good.
music
There'll be
series?
bands, yep.
Okay,
There'll be
okay.
bands.
All right, that'll probably have their own sound systems to some extent, or
Yes.
we'll talk about that as we
Yeah,
get
we're
closer.
not gonna do
where
the
you-
whole Beamworks and everything. It's just gonna. I want to keep it.
Where you need a sound assistant, you have one, so.
I know that. That's
Okay.
for sure.
Friday nights are usually workable.
Cool. Then we have Haunted Happenings is coming up on Friday, October 26th. That'll be at the Environmental Education Center again. And let's see, we have the Talent Show coming up on November the 8th at Cypress Forest Rec Center. And the last one I have on my list is November 11th, which is Veterans Day. So we'll be doing the Veterans Day ceremony again out at the park. If you didn't get opportunity to see pictures or anything like that, we changed up the format of the chairs at the ceremony for Purple Heart as opposed to how we did it with Veterans Day and Memorial Day. It worked out really, really nice. So maybe something that we continue to do. It's just, I was really shocked at how it changed the whole feel. It
But
does.
it won't put your focus on the area where,
Yeah,
it just depends on where you want your focus to be.
So we're going
For
to.
those that didn't see, they put the tent where it normally is, but you faced out the side of it, and they had the opening with the Purple Heart behind it and stuff. So it was a nice change of pace.
Rows, and it felt intimate.
Yeah,
It felt nice.
yeah, it did.
So that's all I have on the upcoming events.
Couple quick questions. Anybody else? Sorry, you guys always know I have questions. Haunted Happenings, get with Bryn on if they need me to MC again, and Hector to do photos.
I'll
You
ask
got
you
it?
right now.
Talent show, Miss Suda's dancers are planning on being there. Please put it on your calendar and help us pass the word. The city has the talent show back again as opposed to where the library was doing it, and they have started advertising, it's been advertising almost a month or more now. So I think it's going to be a great show this year. We're going to have a lot of different varieties in, which I think is excellent. And I think that was it.
Anybody
Yes.
else? Okay. It's a little bit out of order. Do you want to mention our excursion to Largo?
We can
You
do
wanna
that.
do it
We'll do
next?
it under new business. You want to do, or
New business
Where do
is
we do
fine.
that?
New business would be
We'll do
fine.
it. Okay.
Business?
Okay. Okay. Item number 5, we all have a copy of the resolution 2019-10 in our paperwork. You presenting that, Ann, or is that
certainly.
presentation?
The council adopted the resolution July 16th, 2019. It does change a couple of things for the board. It takes the membership to 7, which we now have 7 members, and so we're good to go there. And then if you report like issues outside the meetings, I mean, if you notice things outside the meetings, to just go ahead and, instead of waiting for a board meeting, to let Chip know about it, because that way we don't have delay in our service and taking care of things. So just if you happen to see something, not that you're expected to go out there and have.
You mean just with the community, an error or a problem out in the community?
Yeah,
or?
let's say you're out at a park and you notice there's
Broken
a
bench.
hole. in the
broken-
ground,
okay, okay.
right? You know.
Because I
let
wondered
Chip
what
know.
that came from, if there was something where we weren't reporting quickly.
No,
Okay.
we just want to avoid having, for instance, long laundry list at the meeting of things that could have been taken care of earlier.
Gotcha.
And so
Okay.
that was where that came from.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's basically it on the resolution.
We've pretty much given up on teen members.
No, we haven't. Teen members are still, even though the resolution doesn't address teen members exactly, teen members are apart from another resolution, so we have not given up on them. There
Okay.
is still room for 2. Yeah.
I have
Probably advertise that, I think, with the high schools.
a question. I haven't read close enough. You may be able to answer it quicker than I can read through. We used to have a statement that said we were not allowed to discuss arts events in our resolution. Has that been removed, or is that still in here?
I think what it was, actually, let's go look at it.
I know the council made an addendum back in Lynn Reeves' time, I believe it was, or shortly thereafter. And
I think what it was, if I remember correctly, is it used to be in the purpose, and then it was removed from the purpose. They didn't say you couldn't talk about it.
Okay.
It just
Well,
wasn't a stated part of your purpose.
yeah, we had points that we were told we could not talk about it. I just wanted to make sure it was still an option for our Leisure Services Board, and it's not in our resolution saying we can't. That's all.
I think, Chip, I would say that you're
Not
free
since
to bring
Chip,
up everything.
not since Chip's time and Felicia's time. It was prior to that when it went into effect. We were told we were not allowed to speak about arts events. And I was just questioning if it's a resolution or a note or not, because if so, we needed to address it, and if it's not, then it's not an issue.
Yeah, as I understand it, it's just not part of your directed purpose, but that doesn't, I would say if you have something to bring up, you could certainly bring it up.
Great, great. And I've got a note for the record. We know we lost 3 board members due to the attendance issue. I'm going to state it like I state things. Sorry. I'll say ahead of time. I'm disgusted at the fact that a way was found for a method to cut the board down to 7 people by setting impossible and inflexible rules for this board. These rules are not realistic, and they are unfair to a volunteer board, and I feel they should be addressed. I don't know that we can do anything about it. The point was to knock the board down to 7 people. We were asked to move the board down to 7 people, and no one stepped down. So now we found a way to make it happen, and 3 board members were lost, as obviously, according to our resolution, needed to be. So I just need to state that for the records, that, I'm sorry, I was disgusted in the way that was handled. And we had some good people that had donated a lot of time in a volunteer service, and were basically dismissed with a brief opportunity to speak in front of council, and I believe at least a thank you letter for their service. So that's my 2 cents, sorry. We're down to 7 now, it don't matter anymore, right? We are down to 7 members now, it doesn't matter anymore, correct? So when a board member eventually comes off, or another board member misses or is late, then there will be a position open on this board in the future, correct?
Right, if a seat is vacated from too many tardies or absences, or if somebody moves, or if something like that happens, then an opening would happen, and then there would be an opening on the board.
Okay, thank you.
And the application, it's always there. That hasn't been removed for any resident to apply.
Oh, no, it's always there, and we hold on to them.
Do we still have any in the back burner?
I don't know right now.
Okay, keep us in mind if we do, just with having this type of rulings on us, everything from John being short 1 day from his time turning over. I don't know, most of you are aware of that. to, people that you would not have wanted to be in a meeting because they would have been dripping blood on their tables, to, I'm sure, Kim's reasons as well. So I just, think it's unfair that those rules were put on us, and we'll see how we handle it in the future. We could knock this board down to nothing at that rate, so thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Any other comments? Just on Suda's mention of the reduction of the board, just publicly, I guess, as a board, we thank John, Kim, and Virginia for their service. I know Virginia and Kim were probably over 2 decades total. And John was with us for a little while, but we do thank them. Personally, I don't think it's that severe that, you can't make 3 out of 4 meetings a year, but that's the way it is.
Well, like I said, it's each one of us, if we come up against a death in the family and those kind of situations, or whatever the case may be. I agree we needed some rules. I agree we needed to tighten some things up. It's just unfortunate that it had to be done in this fashion. And
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
thank you.
Okay. Next item says discussion of bylaws updates. I believe that's from, we all have a copy of that?
So we don't have an update yet, but with the resolution changes, I'll go ahead and make the changes to reflect the resolution and then bring it at the next meeting. I just wanted everybody to be aware that would be happening in case there's anything else you wanted to revise in the bylaws. That would be a good time to do it.
By the way, I did encourage each of the past board members to do what I did for 3 years, where I sat in Becky's seat out there or at another place. If they're interested in the board, don't give up on the board, but keep involved, and we hope to see them come in like Becky to give input and keep updated on the most recent information.
Okay. Okay. New business? Anybody? Chip, you want to start off?
I'll start off. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I've been here for a little bit over a year and learning the board and the function and taking into account my experiences, my 15 years in Largo, and trying to figure out, what's the best way for me to utilize the board, as a resource, and to provide an opportunity for more engagement and involvement for you guys with the community and with leisure services, our staff. So, Ken and I went down to Largo in July last month, and we met with the director. Her name's Joan Byrne, and we met with their board chair, Annalise, and we just sat around and tried to find out, what makes their board different than our board. What do they do to support the Recreation Parks and Arts Department in Largo, and how does that function? Because I had some ideas in my mind of how I wanted to maybe develop more interaction between us, so that we can get better feedback from the community, which then, increases the value of what we do. So, they do a lot of the same things that you all do. They act as a sounding board on topics or issues and things like that. But, they have they have an extra level of engagement that I'd like to kind of propose to the board. For example, right now, recently, we in Leisure Services have started to do some sounding board, some feedback opportunity with the community, more not like a focus group, but more or less getting people's feedback at events, things like that. Bryn's been doing some of the other staff have been doing some, but what they do in Largo, and which is nice, is the board actually facilitates that discussion between the community group and the city. So, for example, a staff person like Bryn may be at this event with whoever, 2 of you, 1 of you, whatever. So maybe it's you and Pat, and you're there, and you're just engaging. So, how do you guys like the parks? What do you think that needs to be upgraded? What if you could create any program for your child? What kind of program would you want? What do you like to do? How do you recreate? So kind of getting that feedback, gets that personal engagement, and it would come from a citizen board is good because it's not us leading the discussion. Sometimes in recreation, and this isn't just here, this is everywhere. So we're so gung-ho and we see things that we like, and we start to try to program them, but it may not be what the community wants. So it's kind of like we just want to get that feedback from the community, engage the board in that process. So that's one way that we would utilize the board. Let's see, what else? Mystery shoppers, they do a mystery shopping program. So somebody from the board walks into the rec center, calls them on the phone, asks questions about the program. They have you'd have the Experience Oldsmar magazine. You say, "Hi, I wanted to get information on the Taekwondo class. Can you tell me a little bit about it?" How do they answer? Do they say, "Oh, well, I'm not really sure, but you can go online and check it out," or do they actually give you the information that you're looking for? So a mystery shopper program so that I can know, hey, okay, we need to train the staff better in this so that when people come in, they get the level of service that they should be getting. So things like that with the mystery shopper. Formalized facility inspections. We do facility inspections ourselves from a staff standpoint, but it would be nice to utilize the board and say, hey, okay, Gina, can you take Bicentennial Park? Can you take this form and do an inspection on these things at Bicentennial Park? That's all I'm looking for. Give me your feedback. It's a different set of eyes. Sometimes we go in looking at certain things, but it's something, for example, Becky, I mentioned with you, the trail signs. The trail signs, they need upgrade. They're faded, things like that. But when we see them on an everyday basis, it's like, okay, there's a trail sign. But somebody coming in new, if they're from a new trail, they're like, wow, that's the worst trail sign I've ever seen in my life. I can't even read the thing. So, so having you guys go out and help out with inspections, things like that, report back so that we can kind of step by step fix things that need to be fixed or address things that need to be addressed. I'd like to propose the opportunity to create an event liaison position. So, for example, Celebrate Oldsmar. Maybe it's Carmen. Carmen, you'll be the representative of the board for Celebrate Oldsmar. You come to our meetings, you work with us, you help to either get volunteers, you help to program part of that so that you have the involvement, and maybe Sue is Winter Wonderland. And so we just have all of these events, and it would really be nice to have the board there and have the support and the buy-in, and then you guys can help bring new ideas. Hey, this is what I heard from my neighbor down the street. She thought about this and that for an event. Hey, that's great. Let's try that. So again, getting feedback from the community, but having you guys more involved in the planning process. And then also one thing that they do down there is their board. I'm not sure how many of them they said, Ken.
Seven.
But,
they have 7. In spite of the size of the city of Largo,
right?
They still only have 7 members.
Right,
on
they have
their
7 members.
board.
But for the number of people that did the Citizens Academy, so we do the Citizens Academy in the city. Leisure Services has a night. So in Largo, they have one of the Recreation Parks and Arts Advisory Board members at that Citizens Academy, and they don't present the whole time. We do the presentation, but then the Citizens, the Leisure Services Advisory Board member would then have a small presentation, talk about the parks, talk about some of the programs. Again, citizen to citizen interaction. So it's kind of what I've had working in my head to how do we engage ourselves together more instead of me just coming to a meeting every 3 months and then okay, this is what we need to do and here's our update. I think you guys are in this. You've been in it for 20 years and how many ever years each, and you got a lot of knowledge and resourceful information that we could use that maybe you've seen over the course of time that we're making the same mistake twice or you have a different perspective on things. But I think it's fun. That's why we do what we do. I love it because it's fun. I love my job. And you're up there because you enjoy recreation as well. And I think it would take it to another level for you guys to really work with us, see what we do, and have quality input as to how we do events. So Ken, anyway, I was going to say, you want to tie in anything else from the meeting that you pulled away from?
What we went to was, I understand, like a pre-meeting meeting.
Correct.
The director meets with their chairperson, and they kind of go over their agenda, and I don't know if we have to do that, but that's one of the things that they do. Again, a much larger city than we are. And I will say that nobody threw anything at Chip. He was very welcome back. They loved him there. Yes, a lot of smiles. Nobody threw any tomatoes at him or anything. Not that I expected it, but it was very well received. I like the fact that their board, which they call, what did they call it? The Recreation Park and Arts Department, whatever their board is.
They are actually called the Recreation Parks and Arts Department Advocacy Board.
I figured you'd like that, Sue.
Yes,
Not Advocacy Board. But I think, so anyway.
I like the fact that they rotate the location of their meetings.
It was interesting, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had talked about that actually at one time, yeah.
Not before. Mhm.
something to consider. I don't know if anybody wants to bring it up, or Carmen?
I just wanted to, I don't know the difference between Largo and here as far as how the city runs, but usually when you inspect something, rather than just reading and checking, you're familiar with what is expected. So if I'm going to have the community, anybody in the community bring a concern, and I don't know if I'm in the position to, if it's within the purview of what I'm looking at. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. I would appreciate knowing more about City of Oldsmar recreation works, whether it's one day in the eyes of the leisure recreation department, or to get an overview of what it is day to day, so that if I'm in the community and someone approaches me and says, I have this concern, this park, is only open from this time to this time, I see this happening, how do I know that that is a valid concern, or am I in the position to answer it because I know enough about City of Oldsmar recreation?
Sure. Yeah, it'd be certainly an educational opportunity for you or anybody to learn that information. There's a whole lot. Believe me, I'm still learning at times myself. It's from the park side. And also, we can't forget in leisure services, we have a facilities maintenance department that falls under leisure services as well. That's not the pretty part of it, but, so there's a lot to learn. But certainly, if you were in the community and you knew that a park was open from a certain time, or you knew why we didn't mow on a certain schedule or whatever, you could answer that question or not, then refer it to us, or you contact us.
Guess what I'm basically getting at is, if you were to implement something like that, me personally, I would like to learn more
Okay.
about City of Oldsmar and what the recreation department
And I
does, so that if someone approaches me, I know I'm in the position to carry that as a concern.
Sure.
Because people will say whatever. It's like someone mentioned to me, Chamber of Commerce should not be handling the vendors, it's too much money, blah, 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 Not that they thought I was going to do anything about it, but they knew I was in the board. So, it was clarified that that's who handles it, that Oldsmar wants nothing to do with that particular event.
Yeah.
So if I was to be in the position to, maybe just the mere inspection is not a big deal, but if it was open, say you announced it that there's leisure services board is available for concerns or something and we can carry them, I want to make sure that I know that that is a valid concern that I'm carrying back to.
I think part of the issue is, I think naturally all of us are available when we hear something's wrong, knowing that we're a board member, that we bring it back. And I think in this case, in this instance, these are defined, like, I need someone to go to celebrate Oldsmar and walk around as a guest and make notes of anything that looks wrong, okay? I think as a general, any comments we get from our citizens, we don't necessarily need to answer. We need to say, I want to take that to the board and see if I can get you some answers. But I like the idea of more networking between the board and CHIP. I think, like I said, we'll take comments in, but I don't think it's like in my nature to go out and say, what do you think about this event? Well, actually, it is in my nature because I do that. But I'm saying, it's not probably, we're not set up to naturally, we're going to enjoy the event. We don't naturally go in and say, what do you think of this? And, that kind of stuff. So I think that's a great networking opportunity between the board and the city and the runnings. I think also Carmen has a good suggestion of maybe you can do a little seminar for us of what all we handle. I mean, I happen to know because I'm involved.
Right.
But I would imagine, not because you're not involved, but most people here only know the fringes of what we do in the recreation programs and all the different things that we offer and stuff. So that might be a nice thing as well.
Kind of like a mini Citizens Academy. For the
Yeah,
Board
or
of
something like that. It was kind of like we did for the subcontractors to tell us all about how it works.
Right.
But maybe for the board or other boards that are interested to find out more about the leisure services, the recreation, the arts, the parks, et cetera. Do you need, I was going to ask one more question. Do we need to do a vote or make a motion on this to get it on the records or anything? Or this is just something you're proposing that we can say, yes, we like it?
This is just something that I'd like to kind of develop, and I'm just throwing it past you, and that's why I want
Want to do something more on next agenda?
Was that?
You want to
Go
do
ahead
an
and,
agenda
I'll
item?
take some assignments on the next agenda. I don't know if anybody else
well, what I
will.
wanted to do is I wanted to throw out my ideas, like I said, like the focus groups and the mystery shoppers, and we don't have to do them all at once. So I'm, but I would like to initiate that progress, that movement forward, and that's why I want to throw it out to you guys and say, okay, well, where would you like to start your focus? I would love for us to start with this is where I would love to start, is from the event planning standpoint, because I think that's where you really start to learn just everything that goes into it, and then all that ancillary stuff that you learn because you were there, so I would like to start with that, and then I would also like the help with the focus groups in a sense. I think those are two good areas to start off with, but and the mystery shopper, that's fairly easy, but we don't have to do everything all at once.
I'm not sure about sending Sue out as a mystery shopper.
Yeah,
Unless
that'd be
you
kinda
had a
hard.
disguise on.
Hi, this is Fred. Yeah, I wouldn't be a good mystery shopper, but I would be a good one to extend at Celebrate Oldsmar and say, how do you like our event and what would you like to see?
Right.
Pat?
What we did, and I know I did it when we volunteered with the city, when people were leaving, like for Oldsmar days and stuff, I had the sheet there, and I stopped people, and which I enjoyed doing because just to get their comments on what it was, and we did get a lot of comments. Maybe we need to do that with everything. Have somebody, if we have at the entrance, because I did. I mean, I stood there and got lots of people and talked with them, and most of them were willing to stop and talk. Some didn't, so I just let them go. That's okay, fine. I do have a minute, and got lots of comments about what they liked and what they didn't like, and most of it was they liked, but there were a few things. So maybe with everything that we did, not just. I mean, I know that was at Oldsmar days.
Yes. All of the events, anywhere there's a group of people, I think is an opportunity.
Right.
And those, from an event standpoint, that's a lot of those are visitors that come in, so that what do you like? Oh, we need more. Oh, you need more food trucks, or oh, you should have this kind of. Okay, those are good things to know. Now, the other type of focus group that I was thinking about outside of the one you were mentioning, Pat, was more or less from a programming standpoint. When we go to a homeowners association meeting. We go to the library when they had the event, I think it was 2 weekends ago. We had a table and 2 staff over there that engaged people. And it's pretty simple, the one that we had go. And Bryn's created a board. I asked her to create kind of like the, what are those, science fair boards, folds open. It lists some of the activities that we currently have. And then it says, and then she engages them. She gives them a Post-it note. It says, what kind of programs do you think your child would like? And we just give them a Post-it note. They take it, they write it, and they stick it underneath the fitness one. Okay, they want to do dance, and they stick it under an art side, a dance. So that way we can kind of see where the majority of the Post-it notes are, and say, okay, well then we should probably focus on a new arts program for children ages 6 to 10, and this is what so it kind of focuses us a little bit on what we're offering instead of
Kind of like
saying,
doing
hey,
the poll that we've been asking for many years that was more tuned towards recreation and arts without having to pay the $10,000 and go to an outside source that knows nothing about our community. And I think that's great. One-on-one is a great way to get that type of information.
Yeah. So when we have a staff person out there, it'd be nice to have an advisory board member there as well, just to really lead that conversation.
Well, like I said, count me in. I don't,
Take the notes and whatever. So.
Same here. I guess as you develop your ideas as to what you're going to go with, you can solicit our participation.
Yeah, maybe
Do we
that's
speak
what I'll
for
do.
everybody here? Is there anybody who does not want to be solicited to help with this? Okay, just didn't want to misspeak.
Okay. So what I can do is either I'll send it to Tom as the chair, and I'll say, hey, this is, or Ken, since you're at this meeting, whichever, and I'll say these are my ideas, and you guys can send it to the board or however it works with Ann.
Well, I know at the Veterans Board, it's during the meetings that they figure out who the event liaison's going to be for the specific ceremonies.
right,
So if you
right.
have something before November 11th, our November meeting, where you would like somebody to be event liaison,
Right.
now might be a good time to
Yes.
firm that down.
Since we don't meet again for 3 months, right?
Emails would be good even between time, I think,
And we got to be careful with that because of sunshine. But
Well, right.
That's the
yeah.
other thing I was going to ask was how, you can't put 2 people together per se, or do you just get 1 volunteer?
I can have 2 people working together as long as what they are going to do is not going to be voted on by the board. So you could
Understand.
potentially
Right.
have 2 event liaisons for Celebrate Oldsmar
Or
working
even series
together.
of them at
And then you
different
could come back
times.
and report on the experience if you want or something, you know, so,
Gotcha.
but I'm not sure what helps Chip best.
Sounds like, Chip, you need just to pick one and pick one direction, and
Yeah, that's it. That works for me.
you got quite a few.
Or 11:11.
Well,
Specific event, you're,
Well, we have, as we mentioned in the upcoming events area, we have the Celebrate Oldsmar event coming up. So if we had somebody who wanted to volunteer to help with that, a lot of that, we've already selected the bands. Now we're in the programming part of it. It's not, again, it's a big event. It's somewhat simple. It's hard to say that it's somewhat simple because it's music, it's bounce houses, it's food trucks, and let's go. But I would love to have somebody work with us on that and attend some of the meetings so that you can learn the intricacies of the events with, you know, how we deal with parking and all this other stuff. But so I would take somebody or one or two people for the Celebrate Oldsmar. That's the October 5th event. And then the Haunted Happenings is Friday, October 26th. I would love to have some one or two people help out with the planning for that event.
count on me for Celebrate Oldsmar. I'll step out of the Haunted Happenings since we'll probably already be emceeing and taking photographs. I think putting one more duty on mine will be too much for that one.
And I will go with Haunted Happening since I may be a vendor in the other.
Okay, so Carmen for the Happenings.
Yeah, put me for, I think I can do Haunted Happenings, I'm not sure, but put me tentatively for that.
Do you want somebody for Winter Wonderland?
I didn't report on this list, so I can extend it all the way out. So, you know, we can go now with winter. At least I have it in my mind. So, Winter Wonderland.
When's our next meeting?
Did somebody have?
November.
Yeah, so we're going to be. We're really going to already be planning for Winter Wonderland and the golf cart parade and all that. We plan about, you know, between 4 and 6 months out at the minimum. So,
our next meeting is November 11th.
yes.
Can't we do more with emails for things to
To a certain extent,
as
I
long
think
as
it's
it's
how-
not a meeting?
As long as everybody's
I just want
getting
to
them.
do it.
Yeah.
I think you got a couple to get you started, and then start emailing us, and where other spots you'd like to
And then we know
incorporate.
what's going on, you know, other than waiting all that period of
Yeah,
time.
if anybody's interested in the Winter Wonderland, one or two of you, anybody want to?
Somebody else, please, because
I
I've
don't
got
know
a dance recital and a
what's
choir
the date
singing.
of Winter Wonderland, because I have to check my calendar.
Friday, December
6th, I wanna
Is it the
say.
6th?
I'll have to email you because
Or is
December
it the
6th, Friday, December 6th.
I can volunteer too.
Okay, so Carmen, do that one too?
seeing that we're retired
I know, I've got stuff going.
and travel.
Okay, so that,
To Carmen and possibly Pat.
I mean, I know 6 months in advance.
I think your Friday night music series will be a good one to incorporate someone asking what's
Yes.
going on, if anybody can help
Yeah,
cover
so,
those, because that's fairly new, and although we've done it before, but
you know, one and one, and somebody doesn't want to do all three, that's fine.
Sure.
So, you know, so if somebody wants to.
First
You wanna do the
music
first one,
series,
Gina? Okay,
10/18.
the October 18th?
Yes.
Okay, I probably just need one person for that one. And then I have November 1st, and I have December 13th.
I'll do November. I don't mind doing all three of those,
Okay.
actually.
All right, that's great.
if somebody else can jump in so she doesn't have to do all three, it would be great from the rest of our team here. It's good, too, if you do have the same person, because you're going to kind of have a feedback of what kind of questions worked and how it worked the first time, and
And it is a series, so it kind of makes, instead of having to reinvent the wheel each time, once you do the
Right.
first one, you know it going into the second one, and then you tweak it, and you go into the third one, and you have it.
And I think a little clipboard with some extra sheets if somebody wants to write some additional notes, or a little questionnaire that we could call on for, you know, the obvious question is, what do you think of the event? And, you know, but if you've got some specifics, something on a little clipboard would be convenient.
When I say working with the events, I want to involve you guys in the planning process and really
that's
like,
great.
you know, so maybe I need you to, maybe you're in charge of, I'll just say this because it's also volunteers, or maybe you're in charge of helping get food trucks, or maybe it's develop a kids art area, or like a secondary program area that we can offer. So there's just different things. I just want, it's not just to go out and how is the event, but that, even though that's important,
no,
you know,
but-
that's once you're at the event, you're working, then you can take some time and, you know, 15 minutes here, okay, hey, how are you? Like, okay, stop for 45 minutes, do something else, go over here again, okay, 15 minutes, okay, get some more feedback. So, you know, so we can.
But you have a whole series of, like, you know, what did you like, what didn't you like?
Yeah, just some simple, quick questions,
yeah.
just so we can get some feedback of what's pertinent to the
Great, I
success
think
of the
this is exciting.
Yeah, so good. That's a good start, and then we'll move into the other things later on as we develop. But I think it's a good start. I'm really excited about the involvement because it's something I've just been racking my brain over the past couple of months, thinking how can we become more connected? And I'm okay. Let's do it. Let's try this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your involvement, obviously, is going to be very valuable. At least, and the staff will see you guys, and to our staff as well, because you guys have a lot of history behind you and experience. So, and you see how much fun we have when we do these things.
I
So
think
that's-
Chip's philosophy was summed up with he wants to be proactive rather than reactive.
Yes.
And I think that'll help with our meetings here as well, because
Right.
it'll give it a new focus. It'll be more of a productive kind of, there's always going to be feedback on things that we need to catch up on, or things that you guys hear out in the community need to report back to me. But it'd be nice for the meetings to be just, hey, we're going to focus on this. This is what we're doing. Report back. This is how we did it. And I think you'll see a lot of change in our events as well with that too. So good.
Kind of touching on Carmen's comment, do we want maybe a 3-minute summary next meeting of, what was that, an overview of Leisure Serve? You want to put together a 3-minute? No slides necessary or anything.
Okay.
Okay. Ann, can we?
A 3-minute? A 3-minute of what they do and Parks and
We'll give
Recreation?
them 4.
What about what do you give to the Citizens Academy? How
I have that
extensive-
slide. I can.
That seems like
the first
that
thing
would
that I
be-
thought about. Like, okay, let me just grab my Citizens Academy and
Yeah.
kind of give a brief overview of some of the things that the guys are doing. I mean, again, it's not just the recreation side; it's the park side. And
Right.
Is that good? We'll
And
give
the
them
art side.
unlimited time. I
Right.
think. Okay.
unlimited. Cool.
But,
Okay.
I mean, another idea is you could just kind of have a learning moment, and each meeting could have something a little bit different, another focus.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
So
true.
that way, you're not barraged with a lot of detail,
Right.
but you
True.
get better detail than you would if you were in Citizens
That's
Academy.
good, yeah.
Good. Okay, we're still technically on new business. Anybody else, as opposed to a board comment? Anybody else with a new business item?
I think mine are all under comments.
Anybody?
I think what I'm saying, I think it's
Okay.
just a comment.
All right, we'll go on to board comments then. Carmen, start down that end.
I don't know I don't have a lot of history with the board, but I have to say that the feedback and the information that you have given us has been tremendously instrumental to me. It has educated me, and I see that, you're on the ball with all the stuff that is left from one meeting for the other, so I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I'll just echo that. Thank you, Chip, for trying to come up with new ways. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I just had something that, and maybe I should have gone to your office to say this or not, but have you ever considered like a citizen of Oldsmar, if when we put up statues somewhere or something, that if somebody wanted to donate for a statue, or I know they do it for benches and put their name on in memory of somebody or family. Are they doing that at all with anything that you put in any parks, or, a water fountain or something, or?
No, they tried the trees
I mean, I
and
just
didn't
was
have much
going to
luck with
suggest
that.
that maybe there's something, I don't know how to do it, but, I was just saying that would save the city money too on things that you had to
I think
put
we
out.
talked about that, and it was a lot of money to maintain it.
No, but
think-
benches and stuff, we
No,
kind
but
of,
Kim talked about it, and it's long-term wise. A lot of times, it's,
Anybody in
But I didn't know,
particular?
but they do put,
Anybody in particular that-
well, no, but I'm thinking that there are people who are elderly who, do have some money, that if they thought they could do something for the city, which I've seen it done other places, it was
Like a
just,
wish
it
list.
was, right, it was just something, if anybody thought that they wanted to do, I would probably have to sit with somebody to think of how you would do it, but they don't have to be great big things. They could be something somewhere that would be easy to maintain, but somebody could put a plaque on it. I know some people that may want, to just donate something just because of family or whatever. I know they do the bricks, but this would be a little bit larger scale, to put, or even a bench, somewhere with somebody's name, or, but they would have to pay for it.
Right, and then you get into the after when it needs to be replaced.
But if they
then
know
it's,
they
you know,
could
so-
do it,
Right.
what they would have to, I'm sorry?
No, so then
Maintain
it
it.
becomes a maintenance after that is that if we were to, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea, I'm not, I'm just saying, so
okay.
if we had like 50 benches that were donated, then at some year in the future, we're gonna have to replace 50 benches, and so, you know, so there's an ongoing cost at times.
Well, you
but-
just,
that's what-
I mean, would it be, if they're dead or something?
Well, it might be the life term of the bench. It
It
might be,
the
you
life
could
term
do
of
the
it
life
could be
term of the bench, knowing it's not 100 years permanent. It's,
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. That's good thought. Life term of the bench.
But wouldn't it be so sad that if you had this beautiful bench sitting out there looking at the water, and then it goes
All of a sudden
away?
it's gone.
Where'd my bench go?
Well, then I think it's also an opportunity for someone to say, okay, this one's getting old, I'll donate this time and upkeep
Right.
this one. So
Right.
we've brought this a number of different times through the years, some type of donation program for some type of monuments. I know the trees we definitely got shot down. The benches has been discussed. I think there was
But
even some other things too.
I think that if citizens are made aware, like every so often, that, you know, this is an opportunity if you would like to do it. It's just a thought. I mean, I
Yours
was,
is a little
I know,
different.
that's
You're
what
not
too.
saying as a memorial more, you're just saying a donation.
well, they could donate a bench and say it's donated by so-and-so, or could be in memory of somebody, really. Because we were just up in Steamboat Springs and walking through their city park and everything, and we saw they had little benches there that did have that. So that's it.
Yeah, we can chat about that.
Anything else, Pat?
Thanks, Pat.
Nope, that's it.
I just enjoy serving with everybody, and I'm sure that we can continue to function under our current restrictions, if you will, or you know, setup. I'm sure we can continue. And thanks, Chip, for the fresh ideas, as was stated before, and Alexis too. Thank you.
No, I don't have any comments.
Judy, you might have a comment.
Got your pen handy?
Motion?
I'm going to pass these through and then on down to you. This is something we've been discussing. We're trying to find out if there's anything we can do about it. These have to do with the railings on the stage at Ari Olds Park that were, as far as I'm concerned, put in without any consideration of how it affects the stage view. And we have these wonderful children that are taking these classes at 2 times a year that dance on the stage, and half of their photos have a big white post in front of them. So we took to decorating it, as you'll see last year. I choose the best photos. I Photoshop what I can, but these are memories these children carry for a lifetime. We understood that it was required to have railings on those steps. Is that correct statement?
If the stairs are over 3 feet. Certain distance apart, it must be.
Okay, plus the width, because I know there's some areas that have stairs across the front of a building and there's no railings per se,
That
so.
guy is tall.
Okay. So I'm still asking if there's some way, I know we had to repair or replace one recently, right? That in the future, as those repairs and stuff come up, if there's some way to consider, it does the same thing for the bands. You have to block that section off for every one of your events. You can't leave that section open when the bands are playing, correct? Typically, you put signs and advertisements and stuff. So whoever thought of this great idea of spending a little extra money and putting these stairs on the front of the stage weren't really, in effect, someone who utilized the stage to realize it was what it was doing for regular performances and stuff like that. So just please keep it in mind. I truly believe there's probably a way to make them semi-permanent, meaning they could be removed, just like the blocks in front of some of the bridges that we have that can be removed when necessary. So if you'd please keep that in mind, so that our little ones, especially our little ones that totally get hidden behind a post, and our events, yeah, I'll go to Chip. And just so you guys can keep this in mind, that this, unfortunately, it was thought to be a great idea, but it's not really conducive to what we have there,
One
okay?
of those good in theory, but good in practice kind of deals.
Exactly, thank you. Also, we didn't mention, and it's not quite 100% official yet, but I believe it is, Chip, as far as we're concerned, on Opal?
It's in the magazine.
Okay. I will be the new director for Opal Theater. It came back from the young lady that quit the city, or the library, and hadn't had anything done with it. She quit October of last year, which tells you, nothing was quite happening a lot with it while we were shifting it back. It's my forte, and I'm very honored to take on the direction of the Opal Theater. We've switched it to a subcontractor mode, which as people that work for the city, so to speak, volunteering, I've had a challenge getting adjusted to that because the city has paid for the programming for so many years. But I found a good way to work with Chip. We have a lot of advantages to doing subcontracting, being able to take donations. And we are shifting the theater program towards musicals for young kids, as opposed to, it's great to pick out a cheap play that the kids can choose from and only the parents come to. But we would like to see these step up a bit, bring more kids in, actually use our stage now and then at Ari Olds Park for some of these performances, as well as the stage in-house. So I wanted to share that you guys should see the Opal Theater, and we are going to continue with Opal, Oldsmar Performing Artists League. If nobody knew what that was for, that is 20 plus years old of what they've called our theater group throughout the years. And we're starting with 8 and up right now, and of course I have thoughts of grandeur to see eventually us go back to a youth, a teen, and an adult one, which is what we had for so many years. So we'll take it one step at a time. Help us pass the word for anybody that's interested in theater. Chip, we're working on something. I'll bug you about that overhang on the stage electrical again. You're going to pop up a tent or something in case we have rain Sunday and Saturday?
Yep, we have the tent.
Okay, because I want to protect the sound system and the electrical boxes, and I sent you guys a reminder that we'll need access to all those and what dates. Many years ago, not that many, we could go back to Mr. Reeves' time, we had spaces for parking right in front of the rec center. I don't know, again, if many of you go over to that rec center, that may be one of the things our board needs to do is visit some of our different facilities, okay? For no particular reason that was ever confirmed, those parking spaces were taken away and filled into a grass lot. The 2 handicaps were moved over to where they are currently. There is room for about 7 cars in that parking area. And again, I never could get fact as to why it was changed, but with limited parking area over there and the ditch across the street that we're not supposed to park in, I would appreciate you guys looking at in the future and future budgets of opening that back up for some parking. There was. Actually, the first probably 12 to 14 years I taught dance there, we could pull up right in front of the sidewalk there. And it's where it's blocked off with the railings and the green area, and there's a tree on one end of it. And for, like I said, I couldn't get definite reason as to why. Didn't seem to be a benefit, and it didn't seem to be a ruling that somebody said we had to have more green land in there. But it did cut down our parking by at least 7 spaces. So especially when it's raining, summer camp, parents are popping in the handicap spots to pick up their kids because that's the closest parking. Not to mention the ditch when it gets water across the street, we get vehicles that are getting stuck in there and stuff like that. So please consider that on your records, guys, as you look for future of growing that. Also, while we're looking at future, and this is what I'm talking about, that I take these in as I go and ask, a couple of benches in front of the rec center, benches, donated, doesn't matter, would be wonderful under the overhang. You have a lot of kids and people waiting for parents and rides. That would be very nice if on each side there is room, there is overhang, and it would even fit in behind the statue of the dog and the little boys that's there. So I'd like you guys to please consider, we could pull one of the picnic tables around from in back, but it kind of makes things more permanent and people want to hang out there longer. So that's why I was just thinking benches as a consideration, just for, like I said, as kids are coming and going and parents waiting and things like that. I'd appreciate that. Also, Chip, just a reminder, we talked about looking into some arts grants in the future. So you and I would like us to talk more about that, and I'll be glad to help. There are a lot of arts grants out there, and I don't feel we're utilizing them yet, especially for a program like Opal that's getting ready to start up, that our script rights are running somewhere around $500 to $700. So those little grants or even bigger grants would help these kind of programs. I have a special invitation. Has anybody in here ever done ceramics?
Years
Way back
ago.
when? Okay. Ms. Suda's teaching ceramics, but we haven't quite been able to get it off of the ground. We have a beautiful kiln over at the rec center that I would like to see utilized before we end up saying it's not working and sell it on eBay. I am going to offer a free ceramics class to employees and our boards.
Nice.
So I would like anybody that's interested, I guess, to let Chip know, and we can look for dates. Currently, I have class time scheduled at 11 o'clock on Saturdays. But we just haven't quite been able to get the word out there, quite been able to get it off the ground. So I'd like to offer a month of free classes. It would cost your bisque or greenware price, which is anywhere usually from $10 to $20 max, okay? We did a great one last year with pumpkins that were shadow boxes that you could actually see little ghosts and stuff inside the pumpkins. Plus, I'm open to all kinds of ideas. So
I have a big frog that I did. Big frog.
I have my mom's witch, which is over 40 years old or something like that. So they do make wonderful memories and great
they do.
pieces.
It was-
And like I said, I'd like to see that kiln get used before, we decide there's just not any purpose for it. So I'd like to give it one big effort, donate my time, and see if we can incorporate. And I understand Chip said they'll be sending out some notices to the rest of staff, and I wanted to incorporate our boards as well, okay? From the community comments, shuffleboard does not get utilized that well. I don't know if you guys are seeing it utilized, but you want to consider, since pickleball is so hot, converting it to another pickleball court.
We're at Bicentennial, the one under the trees.
Bocce
Yeah.
ball. Wait,
The one back at by the pickleball courts at Mobley Bayou. Isn't there a shuffleboard court back in there? And is it being used? Is it being used?
I've never seen it used for.
Okay, and your pickleball is very hot right now, so I would like to make a recommendation to consider expanding for another pickleball court and utilizing that shuffleboard. At the same fact, over there in that same area, we do have some nice benches around the pickleball courts, but we've got nothing around the basketball courts. And there are people that, like to sit and watch the little basketball games, or the people that are playing. So again, on benches, keep that area in mind as well. And I forgot to ask when we were on current business, did we have any updates from the community garden? I know we were talking about expansion for them and stuff. Was there any updates on that?
Well, we had the ceremony a couple weeks ago. That was a grant from Tampa Bay Estuaries, and that was actually received from through the Public Works Department, the sustainability coordinator.
Okay.
I know that at that event, there was talk of if there's any additional grant money, that it would be nice to have them at other places around the city. So I'm not.
The grant deadline, I think, is coming up for the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and a lot of times if you have gotten a grant, it helps you for another grant, the money's
Right.
available, so.
Right, the grants are a big help. It's like I've offered, I can't go for a grant for the arts to help us, but the city will have better luck at doing that. So I've offered to help anywhere that I can to help increase those programs. So, yeah, I know originally, way back when, they had talked about expanding out further and towards the front and things like that. And I just wanted to see if we've had any updates or.
I can check with, you worked with her on that. We can check with the sustainability coordinator, see if she has done anything with that as well.
All right. And just a couple more things, and then I'll wrap it up. We have posters in the dance room that were from 1921 of some people working out on the wherever. I would like to offer my photography of the dancers and the belly dancers, since they are the prime dancers in those rooms, and get some new posters. So I will be glad to donate the photos if I could get the city to consider putting maybe some new frames or utilizing the frames that we have and helping with the print cost. I have some beautiful shots of the belly dancers and plenty of the dancers, and it just would be nice to kind of update that from the working out on the beach photos that are in there right now.
Yeah, just see me about that.
Okay. And then the last thing I have, which is a general one that everyone might be interested, I noticed a lawn truck in front of the rec center hooking up to the what appeared to be like city piping. What's that all about?
Partly the Public Works has made they put that on there so that it's free clean water. So, for the trucks to fill up, you have to go do, chemical application.
Filling with water as opposed to dumping? I didn't know which, that's why I was curious.
Yeah, fill in the tanks with reclaimed water. It's a free service that they offer, rather than using potable water. This is reclaimed water and using chemicals.
Sure. Okay, I found it odd and nobody inside the rec center knew what it was about, so I thought I would ask you guys. And that's the kind of things, like we said, as board members, if you notice something unusual like that, let's bring it in and so we understand or learn more about it. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. I think that's the long list of mine.
Okay. Next meeting is scheduled for November 11th. That is Veterans Day, I believe.
So,
That's, we're going to have November.
well, we're here. Yep.
Okay,
We're
okay.
here. We have
November
another
11th,
day,
6
so-
PM. Motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. There we go.
Good job, Ken, thank you.
You sure bangs that gavel.
That's loud.
I feel like you've done this before.
It's here. I mean,